In this episode, Pokemon are put to the test as they battle it out in competitive eating. Hey, this is GatorEX. Let's go and discuss episode 47 of Pokemon Journeys. This one was an interesting one. Honestly, again, being honest, far from my favorite, but I mean, it was still enjoyable. This one, again, though, as far as the plot goes, it's really, literally just an eating competition. So of course it starts off with Ash and Go entering in this competition. Ash has got his Dragonite entered, Go has got his Squelvet entered, and we also have a little bit of a flashback to how it got started, even though I guess you could have started the episode like that. Regardless, they are feeding Pokemon, Squelvet wants to eat, and then the professor tells him, hey, there's this eating competition, why don't you enter it in to, I guess put that to the test to see how much it can eat, I guess, to see if it's really like that. It's a nice little episode. There are a bunch of cool Pokemon there. The thing that was kind of interesting, kind of neat though, is that Team Rocket has Morpeko with them, and they all fasted for 2 days, they say, to get Morpeko ready, and he's in hangry mode just the whole time, so there's fun shenanigans with that. Again, pretty predictable episode overall, but it was neat to see a lot of the Pokemon interacting, see how a lot of them hold themselves and eat. We get to see Hydreigon, which is pretty neat. He's got 3 heads, so he can eat 3 times as fast, I guess. There's a Blaziken too, which is kind of one of the reigning champions at least. And, it's neat to see how it eats, all, I guess, elegantly kind of matches it with its trainer. And, it's just pretty cool overall. Of course, obviously, Team Rocket sabotages things halfway through, giving cookies to everybody, or at least anyone who would have them. And, so that thins out the competition more so. And, it's pretty cool. Like, in the second round, I think some things get a little more interesting, though, in terms of just how things work. For one thing, right, it's there are 6 competitors left, so everyone's being pitted off against each other in that sense, in that it's Snorlax versus Blaziken, and one person gets to pick the meal. I think we get to see it interestingly done in that with James and Morpeko against a Glalie, James picks a hot dish, which Morpeko has no problem eating, but the Glalie attempts to freeze in order to eat, but ends up freezing the bowl. It's some neat interactions like that, so it's like, okay, that's stuff that's cool, and that's the kind of stuff that I like. And meanwhile, with Go and Squelvet, Go picks a sweet dish, which his the Muck competitor has trouble eating, and even Squelvet kind of loses its steam, but then brings out a tomato berry to kind of, I guess, reset its palate. It's it's some cool interactions there. Things come down to like the final round, of course, where it's the Blaziken goes Squelvet, and then Morpeko and James, and it's pretty well done. It's funny though. Again, some more funny bits here and there where the food that they're eating is little Torchic shaped food. So honestly the funniest part of the episode, I think, is when the Blaziken is like having this crisis or just doesn't want to eat them because they're little Torchics when it's a Blaziken. It's it's a funny moment. And then meanwhile, of course, Go and or Squelvet and Morpeko are having no problem, except until Morpeko finally gets full. I guess that's something I didn't consider going in. It's like, well, yeah, obviously Morpeko's gonna grind through the competition or just beat everybody, if it's in hangry mode. But you figure, well, yeah, what happens when it calms down and chills out? And so that allows Go's Squelvet to catch up and even evolves during the competition, which, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens during this competition. But I guess, obviously evolving's allowed, I guess, if it's the same Pokemon. An interesting thing, going in, like I said, I thought it was a little predictable. So I knew, okay, if Squelvet's going to get an episode, it's going to evolve by the end into Greedent, right? But you figure, like, well, if a Pokemon evolves, technically its stomach is getting bigger, isn't it? So that would be... That's an interesting thing to see, I guess, how that plays into it. I guess it's allowed, though. And, episode ends, Go wins. There's some neat little things in between. Of course, Ash didn't make it very far with Dragonite, despite Dragonite being really big, having that giant belly. But, it was more focused, I guess, on, the competition overall, and Go and Squelvet. And, again, the funny stuff with Team Rocket and Morpeko. Some other interesting thing, everybody else is there watching, and it's kind of neat seeing them getting into it as well. Kind of not commentating, but giving their input overall and just watching it. It's just neat to see everybody there, especially like Chloe being there, kind of joining in on things. The professor's there as well. I guess I figured if he told them about the competition, he might as well join in. And like, just a cool episode. I think, honestly, I guess a bit of redemption for Squelvet, I guess, because Squelvet was the one who was stealing all the food way back in like episode 24, I guess, and caused issues with everybody. So now I guess, you know, giving him something to do, you know, was kind of neat. And I guess, you know, it being a Generation 8 Pokemon, as well as Morpeko, you know, it's kind of funny we got two little big eating rodents in Generation 8. But, you know, showing them off, that was something neat as well. So, you know, just a fine little episode. I guess I'm being genuinely honest, it was not my favorite. Or no, I said that at the beginning. But it was still fun. It was enjoyable. And I feel like in this review, it's like, well, you know, what am I going to say? Pokemon eat, and then Squirvet wins. But, I mean, let me know what you think. Definitely, I've mentioned, like, you know, episodes in Pokemon Journeys are fine at the very least and amazing at the best. This one was a fine episode, at least in my opinion, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, shorter review and a little later because I watched it later because I wasn't rushing to watch this episode. But okay, if it sounds like I'm hating on this episode, I'm not. I thought it was cool. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, you know, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. You can enable notifications by clicking that bell icon, you know, typical stuff like that. But anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.